crap. Thought I was ready for this, man. Ooh, the courage, y'all. The courage it takes to talk about some of this heavy stuff and to ask the questions many of us are asking. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ultimate World Music Reaction Channel. It's me, Rosalie. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I got something really special for you. I was encouraged, shout out to Terrace, to check out both Dear God by Dax. I've been meaning to look into that song. You've been asking for it as I've been exploring the music of Dax. And a rapper named Hopsin. And I'm going to check out his song, Ill Mind of Hopsin 7. Because thematically there may be a red thread. We'll see. And let's see who does it better. Who dives deeper. Who talks about some of these heavy and deep and meaningful things better. Who's the better rapper? What do you think? Cast your vote. Put your verdict down in the comments. I have never heard Hopsin before. I know Dax a little bit. I've been reviewing some of his work and been enjoying it. Meaningful lyrics, heavy topics. You've been enjoying it. We've watched some of his work and it's been cool. Hopsin is an American rapper and I don't know anything about him. It says that his style has been compared to that of early Eminem records and that both Eminem and Michael Jackson were his biggest inspirations. Okay, without further ado, guys, subscribe if you're new. We are all about world music. We go on these rides where we explore different music, all kinds of genres, all kinds of languages, cultures, countries from all around the world. We dive into the psychology, philosophy. I just love exploring the art. Keep in mind, the observer influences the observation, meaning I'm going to bring in my own twist and see what I have to say or what I find out of these. And that's about it. We're going to start with what I already know, which is Dax. All right, little familiar with his work, loving what I've seen so far. Dear God was put out 3 years ago, 57 million views. Okay, are you ready? Check out my merch if you're interested. I got Choose Life merch. I got Dance in the Light. I got all kinds of merch out there for you. I'll put the links in the description below. Get yourself some merch, a mug, a t-shirt, support this channel. And here we go. It says, do you believe in God?
Sometimes it gets hard. My name's Dax. Dear God, there's a lot of questions that I have about the past, and I don't want to hear it from a human. You made it, so you're the last person that I'm ever gonna ask. Tell me what's real, tell me what's fake. Why is everything about you a debate? What's the point of love? Every time I showed it I was broken and it's forced me just to only want to hate. Why is it only one you but multiple religions? Why does every conversation end in a division? Why does everybody want to tell us how to live but they won't listen to the same damn message that they give it? Tell me how to feel, tell me what's wrong. I tried to call, pick up the phone, I'm on my own. Everybody says you coming back to man, why the hell's it taking so long?
Oh. I'm going to try not to get emotional for this one. Okay, so we see it starts with Roman soldiers and the scene of the crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, pretty self-explanatory which religion is being represented here at the moment, right? Christianity. But the lyrics are heavy. We're going to talk about those later. A few things that stood out to me already are things like they say you're going to come back. Why the hell is it taking so long? Interesting play there, right? Talking about God returning, right? Spiritual things, which we often connect to heaven, yet the phrase is, why the hell is it taking so long? Or things like all the division that religion causes, which I know we all know, we've seen, right? People killing in the name of God, dividing. And you see it even on social media in the comment section. You could have people that even don't believe in God, who are atheists, but when you become dogmatic about whatever you believe or don't believe, it's your religion, right? Even the lack of a God in your worldview can become your God, right? The absence thereof can become your God if that's everything you judge the world through, and if that's your worldview and your lens, but we can't prove or disprove the existence thereof. And so it's a tricky topic that's caused so much division. And his flow is dope. His cadences, I like it. There's a lot of rhythmic elements to it, which I appreciate about rap. I've said this before. I can't stand mumble rap. I don't like if it's just shibbity bibbity bop, the mouse trying up the clock. There's a message, it's substance. That's the type of rap I like. All right, let's keep listening.
Why do I hurt? Why is there pain? Why does everything good always have to change? Why does everybody try to profit off another man's work then destroy it just for monetary gain? Tell me, are you black or are you white? I don't even really care. I just really want to know what's right. They've been saying one thing, but I've been looking in the book, and it seems like they've been lying for my whole damn life. Tell me where I'm going. Is it heaven or hell? I just hope this message greets you well. Had a dream that I was walking with the devil. Don't remember how it feels, but I swear that I remember the smell. Looked me right into my eye and told me everything I wanted could be mine if I gave up and decided to sell. But I said I'd rather die than get mine. Now I'm here, no fear, one man with a story to tell. Dear God, where were you when I needed it? When I fucked up and repeated it? When they set the bar and I exceeded it? My life is like a book that they've been judging by a cover, but have never took the time to fucking read the shit. I remember telling you my goals and my dreams, but you didn't even answer, so I guess you didn't believe in it. I remember sitting with a gun to my head trying to ask you for some help, but I guess you didn't believe it. I don't want religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family. I don't want to tell my sins to another sinner just because he's got a robe and you went to some academy. I don't want to read it in the book, I want to hear it from you. Don't want to learn it in my school because they hiding the truth. Don't want to talk about it to another fucking human being, and that's the only reason that I even stepped in this booth. Dear God, how do I take this darkness and turn it into light? How do I believe in a concept where I speak to a man I've never seen with my own two eyes? How do I know that religion wasn't made just to separate the world and create a whole disguise just to keep us in these chains while the rich get richer and the poor pray to you and perpetuate a lie? How do I know this ain't some big joke? How can I have faith when there is no hope? How the hell does one man have $100 billion and we still have people on the street that are broke? There's a lot of things I want to talk about and get off my chest. I can't sleep because the devil won't let me rest. I used to know a fucking pastor in a church and I can still hear the screams of the kids he will fucking molest. Dear God! I'm supposed to fear you, but you ain't said shit, so maybe it's you who actually fears me. I don't know the answer, I just want to see it clearly. So many lies and 1,000 different theories. All I want to know is who really made religion, cause I know it wasn't you, but don't nobody believe me. No more lies, no more death. Bring back King, bring back X. Please, dear God, let their souls rest. Protect who's left and watch their steps. Dear God, I don't want to have to ask you again. I just hope that you know that I'm still a believer, so I'll end this all by saying amen.
Crap. Yee. I thought I was ready for this, man. I'm like, ooh, we're going to have some good stuff to talk about. This going to be deep. Shoot. What do you say after that, man? Those lyrics speak for themselves. What do you say? Ooh, the courage, y'all. The courage it takes to talk about some of this heavy stuff and to ask the questions many of us are asking, okay? How do I categorize this? I like breaking things down into categories. Otherwise, I could talk for days. But also because it makes communicating a little easier, I think. Let's speak personal for a second. In my own life, there have been seasons, okay? Seasons of childlike faith, if you will, believing what I was told because that's what I was told. Then there were seasons of doubt and questions, but coming back to what I was taught because, you can be psychological about it. Some of it may have been faith, experiencing spiritual things that I thought were confirmation and answers to prayers. But then it could also be looked at psychologically, right? We are safest in what is familiar. So maybe I went back to what I believed in those seasons of doubt because that was my safe zone, right? So I'm going to find a way to push through these big questions and make my way back to what I've believed from the get-go. And even in those seasons of me growing as a person, even now in a season of both heavy big questions, shimmers of hope, glimpses of faith, I have been evolving and developing in the sense that my faith is changing in real time by trying to learn to be okay with not knowing, be more open-minded and be not as quick to respond, right? I used to be way quicker to respond, way quick to have an answer based on what I was taught, be it quoting a verse, be it trying to encourage people. And some of that was well meant because I truly believed that it felt that conviction. Some of it may have been based on fear, right? Because who am I if I doubt, right? Who am I if I don't have the answer? But as you get older, you get humbled and you get wiser. And with wisdom, I think, comes knowing I don't know. With wisdom comes the courage to say, I have these questions, what now? And psychologically, that will trigger a lot of existential fears. That's why some people don't even want to deal with that. They don't even want to ask those questions because, for one, they may be afraid of their God, of the religion they believe, of the family. If they actually speak up and say, this is what I feel, this is what I wonder, there may be elements of fear because it feels like being disloyal to your faith or to what you believe. And I'm not just talking religion right now, I'm talking worldview. You could be an atheist, you could have no affiliation with religion in your mind, though I would argue that even atheism is a type of religion. There are those who are just as dogmatic about absence of God and science being king that it might as well be a religion because that's how they view the world, and that's the worldview, the lens, and that's how they judge others who may have faith. And we're all trying to find answers, and it triggers these existential fears when we come face to face with questions we don't have an easy answer to. When we realize, like he said in the lyrics, what we're being taught, what we were taught in school is not quite right. But even when you study, even when you try to be scholared in a certain field, right? Going to seminary as I did, studying theology, my bachelor's is in theology, my master's in counseling psychology. I feel like I know nothing, like I'm unworthy of those titles because there's a whole lot more to learn. Many of you are far more educated. But you go through those seasons and even what you learn is biased, meaning if you go to a school of psychology that is mostly Freudian, you will learn a lot of psychology in those schools of thought through the lens of Sigmund Freud, right? If you go to a school that is more influenced by Jung or philosophers, right? You could be learning about psychology and philosophy, but depending on the creed, the mission, vision of said school, it'll be looking at those topics through that lens, right? This goes for science, right? There are those who are heavy on science and evolution, and they will look at things through the Darwinian mindset, and everything else they read will either be through that lens or they will find themselves drawn to similar content because we want bias confirmation. We want to find things that affirm what we believe. The lyrics are powerful. Let's just skip through them to not make this too long. There's a lot of questions I have about the past. I don't want to hear it from a human you made, so you're the last person I'm ever going to ask. The whole song to me is basically all these questions, struggling with what's real, what's fake, questioning all the division that religion has caused, asking God, where are you? Why am I in pain? Basically asking the big questions that we humans ask, right? And then levitating at the end as if, on one hand, one could say as if he's rising from the dead, as is claimed about Jesus, is he going back into the sky? But it also almost looks like some type of exorcist pose. So it's contradictory in a way. It's not some glorious, happy ascent. It is this weird mix between levitating, freaking the Roman soldiers out, or the soldiers here portrayed in this music video, but also levitating, still dripping blood, no glorious awakening, no glorious resurrection, if you will. And I feel like that is very poetically put, talking about these heavy things, not having an easy answer. It's not a bunch of questions and then saying, all right, but here are all the solutions. Now I will gloriously resurrect and ascend into heaven because it's all well. No, you're still hanging there in limbo, if you will, right? What is that? Is this idea of purgatory, limbo? Is this more of a, like I said, exorcist, demonic possession of just hanging there as we see in horror movies? Is it an ascension into heaven? There's still blood. There's still that dust. There's still the dirt. There's no solution. And I think that's the hard part about these religious questions, are longing for God. Like he says, I don't want a church and a religion. I want spirituality. I want something that feels like family, because that's what we long for. That's why a lot of people are drawn to religion, because we long to belong. We long to be part of something. And I think that's where a lot of that comes into play. Phenomenal songwriting. I feel like we could talk about this for hours in and of itself. I probably already said too much, but y'all know we're about deep dives, so buckle up. That's Dear God. That was abso-freaking-lutely amazing. And I think there's so much more we could talk about here. There's this temptation within me to want to conclude and to want to come to some type of conclusion as we dive through the lyrics because of all these big questions, but I don't have all the answers either. And like I said, there are those who have faith, who hold on to it because it brings comfort, it gives meaning. There are those who put that aside and they focus on science and they feel like science could disprove religion, faith, or God. I don't believe that you can prove or disprove God. I think that's why it's such a tricky topic. And I think that you'll find people that are dogmatic on both sides. I really liked that. There was a lot of rhythmic elements. There were changes in rhythm. This was one of his songs that really showed his ability as a rapper, and I respect it. We're going to check out Hopsin. I don't want to make this video too long. Shout out to all of y'all who listen and who dive deep with me. Ill Mind of Hopsin 7. Again, I have not heard anything by Hopsin so far. Okay, that's dope. I'm going to start over. Okay, the introduction is already awesome. The vocal elements here, that choir, the desert, the similarity here that I see with Dax and Hopsin is just we're both talking in both videos high-end cinematography. And what I also find amazing is how there's these creative elements of where that person in the desert is changing with the beat as the rhythm kicks in. So it keeps you on your toes. Just from the get-go, it's got me interested. Let's start over. See? That glitch almost. Okay.
Anybody I might alarm. Life is a tour, I sit and ride along. Taking some notes and then I write the songs. I'm staring down the road, my life is gone. Is this calm while asking you for some answers, but we don't have that type of bond. That my desire's gone, and with the way that I've been living lately, if I died right now, you turn the fire on. Sick of this bullshit, niggas call me a sellout, cause I hopped in Christianity so strongly then I fell out. Now I'm avoiding questions like a scared dog with his tail down. Feeling so damn humiliated cause they looking at me like I'm hellbound. What story should I tell now? I'll just expose the truth. I'm so close to the fucking edge, I should be close to you. But who the fuck are you? You never show the proof. And I'm only fucking human, yo, what am I supposed to do? There's way too many different religions with vivid descriptions, begging all fucking men and women to listen. I can't even beat my dick without getting convicted. These ain't wicked decisions, I got different intentions. I've been itching to get it, I've been giving assistance, but the whole fucking system is twisted. Now I'm dealing with this backlash because Marcus isn't a Christian, and I've been told that my sinful life is an addiction. But I can't buy it, it's just too hard to stand beside it. I need an answer, humans can't provide it. I look at the earth, the sun, and I can tell a genius man designed it. It's truly mind-blowing, I can't deny it. Is heaven real? Is it fake? Is it really how I fantasize it? Where's the Holy Ghost at? How long does it take a man to find it? My mind's a non-stop tape playing and I can't
Oh snap, is it real? Is it fake? That's a Dax. Dax said something like that. And hold on, Hopsin put out this song 8 years ago, 77 million views. Dear God, he put that out 3 years ago. Is it real? Is it fake? Okay, I don't know if Dax got that from Hopsin, but you see the similarity here, okay? The beating sun, the heat, the desert, the dust. Okay, I see similarities there. Amazing rap skills up in here. And also, again, addressing that topic, that struggle of, where are you, God, right? Like if I'm close to the edge, so I must be close to you, right? Because you must be close to the edge. Like you don't answer, I can't hear you. So similar questions as in when it comes to intensity and struggle. Still a different feel in my opinion. Here, more so focused. Dax, I felt like was more so focused on like general questions, personal struggles, yes, but general questions that we all can relate to, right? Hopsin here also talking about different religions, but also addressing his personal, very personal struggle. The judgment of others, being a sellout. So it feels more personal, but it's still relatable to people as a whole. And then even things like, I look at the earth and sun, I can tell a genius man designed it. So there's still this idea of, I know there's got to be something, and I think many people can relate to that. Anyway, let me go back to that part.
Tell a genius man designed it. It's truly mind-blowing, I can't deny it. Is heaven real? Is it fake? Is it really how I fantasize it? Where's the Holy Ghost at? How long does it take a man to find it? My mind's a non-stop tape playing and I can't rewind it. You gave me the Bible and expect me not to analyze it? I'm frustrated and you provoked it. I'm not reading that motherfucking book because a human wrote it. I have a fucking brain, you should know it. You gave it to me to think, to avoid every useless moment. It was a mission that I had to abort, cause humans be lying with such an inaccurate source. It's gonna be hard to put me back on the course. Next Jehovah's Witness to come on my porch, I swear I'm slamming the door. A lot of folks believe it though, but I'm not surprised. Humans are fucking dumb, still thinking that Pac's alive. I ain't trying to take your legacy and torture down. I'm just saying, I ain't heard shit from the horse's mouth. Just sheep always telling stories of older guys who were notarized by you and you finally vocalized. Now I'm supposed to bow my head and close my eyes and somehow let the Holy Ghost arise? Sounds like a fucking poltergeist. Show yourself and the boom is done. Every rumor's gone, I no longer doubt the shit, you're the one. I'll admit that my sinful ways were stupid fun, and all my old habits can hop on top of a roof to plunge. I donate to a charity that could use the funds. Fuck the club instead of bitches, I'd hang with a group of nuns. And everyone I ran into would know what I came to do. I wouldn't take a step unless it was in the name of you. I hate the fact that I have to believe you haven't been chatting with me like you did Adam and Eve. And I ain't seen no fucking talking snake unravel from trees with an apple to eat. That shit never happens to me. I don't know if you do or don't exist. It's driving me crazy, send your condolences. This is me reaching to you, so don't forget. If hell is truly a pit of fire and I get thrown in it, I'ma probably regret the fact that I ever wrote this shit. My gut feeling says it's all fake. I hate to say it, but fuck it, shit, I done lost faith. This isn't a small phase, my perspective's all changed. My thoughts just keep picking shit apart all day. And in my mind, I make perfect sense. If you aren't real, then all my prayers aren't worth a cent. That will mean that I can just make up what my purpose is. And I can sit in church and just say fuck in the services. Man, what if Jesus was a facade? Then that would mean the government's God. I feel like they've been brainwashing us with a lot, so much that we don't even notice that we're stuck in the box. Man, everything is what if. Why is it always what if? Planet Earth, what if? The universe, what if? My sacrifice, what if? My afterlife, what if? Every fucking thing that deals with you is fucking suspect. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done. This is my fucking life and I'm living it. I'm having fun. If you really care for me, prove that I need to live carefully. But I'll be damned if I put my own pleasure aside for an afterlife that isn't even guaranteed. We are you, and you're us. Stop playing games. My life's all I got, and heaven is all in my brain. And when I feel I'm in hell, my ideas are what get me through pain. Do as you please, and I'll just do me. I'm a human, I'll stay in my lane. Ill mind. It's us, mind, power. Live life, mind, power. It's us, mind, power. Live life, mind, power.
Couple of things from the start. Don't go. Subscribe and let's talk. The fact that there's these bongos, percussion, I feel fitting because his setting is in the desert, right? We're talking about religion, so naturally our mind will go to Bible times and Israel and Palestine and Middle East. So to have bongos and those rhythmic elements beyond just, a full drum kit, I find cool. When he was walking away, it almost looked like he was hinking, right? That limp. And I know that sometimes that people do that either to look cool or just like that's how they walk. But I wonder if part of that was intentional because of the Bible story where a man named Jacob wrestles with God. He ends up asking God or wrestles with God for a blessing. And I think he ends up walking away with a limp. That's why people to this day, Israelites, don't eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip because the angel of God touched the socket of Jacob's hip, which led to that limp. So I wonder if him hopping away, I'm sorry. Hopsin was hopping away, was limping away. Could have been this little nod to wrestling with God because right here, that's what I feel he's doing. It's hard to say which one I like better, y'all. You let me know in the comments below. They both have a similar tone, like I said, in the sense that they're like the setting, right? That desert, the hot, the dust, fitting to talking about God and religion because, right, religions are thousands of years old. We think of places like the Middle East, desert land, right? Jesus being tested in the desert, people nomads wandering through the desert, right? The idea of looking for the promised land. Also fitting in the sense of wrestling with God, fitting with this idea of being in a desert, right? Philosophically, psychologically speaking, when you're in a place of no answers, when you're in a place of despair, it feels dry and dead. It doesn't feel like, waterfalls and tropical forests and birds chirping and paradise. It feels like dry. You're looking for water. You're searching for answers. And both Dax and Hopsin here, I feel like masterfully have put in to song and to art not only man's questions for God and for existence, but our struggles, our existential questions, right? This whole idea of why do I suffer? Why do good things end? This whole idea of pleasure, right? Where Dax is asking, like I said earlier, a lot of general questions at first, speaking of his own pain and struggle, but still just general questions in his letter to God, if you will, ending with Amen. The overall tone is just a touch more hopeful. It doesn't end on answers. It does not end with, oh, so, but anyways, I'm going to keep believing. No, he says, I do have faith. I do believe. I'm a believer, but it's hard. But he still ends with amen. It's Dax. It's still this idea of concluding a letter. Here with Hobson, he's also talking about heavy topics, but he brings in a couple of more personal things. But also the overall feeling is, for me personally, just even a touch heavier. He's walking away, right? Dax is hanging there levitating. Hobson's walking away into the desert, limping away. His rap skills, here too, a lot of rhythmic elements to his rap, and I really like that. His cadences, his rhythmic flow is present. There's just a lot of nuances to how he's rapping, okay, and it works with the different words. When it comes to the songwriting skills, there's a lot of literary art, both with Dax and with Hobson, that is being integrated, not just simple rhymes. There are literary art forms. When you can communicate a substance, a message, something of meaning, something heavy and powerful that has people going, oh, snap, but still doing it with literary art, I applaud that. And this idea of mind power, find power, right? We're trying to search for it, mind power. A lot of it is up here. And so there's a lot of intellectual questions here, and a lot of courage to ask those things, to not shy away from coming in hot, coming in strong, versus going, oh crap, I'm about to be struck by lightning. But from the get-go, saying things like, I write the song, I'm staring down the road, my life is gone. Is this where I belong, right? Existential fears. We all come to that point at some point, more or less, where we're staring down that road. My life has gone, right? We're trying to look at where we've come from. Where are we headed? What is my purpose? Why am I here for? Psychologically, just full on existential questions. My mental state is effing me up, which works with that mind power, find power play in the beginning. I cried a pond while asking you for answers, but we don't have that type of bond. To me, saying, I'm crying so much, I'm looking for answers, but we don't have that type of relationship. That my desire is gone with the way that I've been living lately. If I died right now, you turn the fire on, as in I'd go to hell. And later on speaks of that too. So already setting the stage for where Dax is like, I am a believer, but here he's coming in from a place of, we don't have that type of relationship. Like, I'd go to hell if I died right now. And a couple of times I also noticed this idea of hedonism, meaning like pleasure, right? This it's a philosophy, the theory that pleasure is the highest good. That's what hedonism is. And I often have quoted people like Dr. Yalom and his thoughts on our existential questions or death anxieties. And Dr. Yalom pulls a lot from the philosopher Epicurus. And I've learned that Epicurus was often been mistaken to be someone who focuses on hedonism. Some feel, because I think the word to Epicure implies this idea of pleasure, whereas the philosopher Epicurus actually wasn't really teaching, oh, the goal of life, to deal with our existential fears, to escape our death anxiety, is just to look for pleasure. But that's what people do, right? We either look to religion, right, to the afterlife, which is a big topic in this song. We look for hope in heaven or reincarnation to give this life meaning, to escape our crippling, paralyzing fear that we're going to die. Or we believe there's nothing, right, and then that becomes our worldview. Or we look to science and math and we try to measure everything and prove everything and kind of find ourselves against the wall when we can't prove or disprove God. And so there's all these heavy, as human beings, being finite and being three-dimensional. It's so hard for us to grasp anything beyond that. And so there's this attempt to deal with it in different ways, right? Either religion, hope in the afterlife. Some people so focused on that they're not even present to this one. Others are so present to this one they think they can escape death by defying it, right? Let's do crazy things all the time, adrenaline rush. Or there's those who want to try to be forever young, surgeries, cosmetics, a success, appearance, right? Trying to maintain our youthfulness because God forbid we get old. But whereas there may be similarities in the word epicure that imply pleasure, Epicurus, the Greek philosopher, more so, according to Dr. Yalom, focused on the idea that it's making memories. So it's not so much about hedonism, this constant pursuit of pleasure, as some people do. And if you take that from people, there's no God, there's no hell, heaven, there's no consequence, or as my daughter would say, consequence. What is the point, right? So we look to pleasure to escape our death anxiety. And so here in this song, I'm saying all that because here in this song, a few times I noticed all his questions and his struggle and his frustration, and it kept going back to that place of, just say something one time, right? Then I'll do everything in your name. I won't, everything bad, it's going to just jump off a cliff, basically. I'm paraphrasing. I'm going to stop living in sin. I'm going to stop doing this or that, right? And so it's basically saying just show yourself. And it makes me think of a book that I'm listening to right now called Conversations with God. And it is not a religious book. It's not a Christian book. It's not a religious book. So if you hear that, some people might think it is just, right, this idea of, I'm looking it up right now, this idea of, a Christian faith or some type of religion. It's more spirituality, conversations with God, and uncommon dialogue. And it is by, I think, Neil Donald Walsh, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm listening to it right now, and it's very interesting. But very similar questions are being posed there. This idea of, why don't you show yourself? Why don't you just show up? And of course, depending on who you ask, people will respond and say, well, he did, right? People will say he did in Jesus. He did, through Mohammed. He spoke to, Buddha. But then the problem with that is that none of these people are here to tell us these things, right? Those of us who are here now go, okay, you can choose to believe that, but what about this and that, right? Then you take into consideration that people wrote it, and then people will respond and say, well, it was divinely interpreted. God told them. And he's dealing with all that in this song, right? Things being notarized by human beings in the name of God. Old men saying, oh, God told me this. I'm going to write it down. And it gets tricky, right? Yes, we can choose to believe that, but it gets tricky because there's multiple books, multiple religions that have been founded by people who say, God spoke to me. Listen to what I have to say. I'm the messenger. And then unfortunately, a lot of these people are not around anymore. Or you have opposing religions that claim the actual opposite, but with the same premise. God spoke to me, I know. And then you have, sects and cults that immerse, right, where people are encouraged to drink the Kool-Aid, literally. But it is a matter of faith at the end of the day because there is no proof, right? There are many ways that we can scholarly take apart text and see mistranslations and see false quotes and see changes through history, through church history, through world history, where it gets tricky. When you're willing to actually ask the heavy questions, it leads to more questions. And it's a scary place to not know for sure. It's a scary place to say, crap, I don't know. Wait a minute. I don't know the root word of that. I didn't know that this was mistranslated. And actually, this makes no sense, right? And so the more we study, the more we're left with questions. And that can be a very lonely place because that, unlike almost anything else, will trigger our existential fears. Because if our worldviews, our faith, our belief are questioned, so is our entire identity. And that's why that's such a existential crisis, right? To stand there in the desert, looking up at the sky, crying out to God, saying, I'm looking for answers, but I can't flip and hear you. And to say, what's the point, right? If you would just show up and tell me one thing, I'll stop all of it. Everything can jump off the cliff that's not right. I won't even take a single step without doing it in your name. But what I'm gathering here, where Dax's was, as I said, more general, here it is plenty of questions here that we can all relate to. But then there's just elements that feel very specific. And we have to pick and choose, I guess, what applies to us personally. But there's just a lot of references that I keep noticing that go back to this idea of, I'm just going to keep living my life. I'm just going to keep having fun and my pleasure in my life. And so the approach I'm noticing here that he's using to deal with his existential crisis is leaning towards hedonism, in my opinion, leaning towards this idea of I'm done. I'm just going to, have my pleasure. What's the point? And I think that's a challenging place to be when you don't believe in God or your conclusion is a big question mark. Is the solution then to say, well, everything goes? If God doesn't exist, or this religion is wrong, or these people lied, the government's God, right, as he says, but we're all just living in this box, we're stuck in a box, what's the point, right? And so that is then also, that leads to further questions of what's the point in life, and what does that practically mean? Does that really mean everything goes? Let's say if there is no God, or if a certain religion is false, does that really mean that the correct conclusion now is everything goes, right? There's no more right or wrong because there's no heaven and hell. But then that also begs further questions, such as, is that really the point of not killing each other just because we want to avoid hell? Is that really the point of trying to be moral sexually and with our words and with our actions because, oh, we're just trying to stay away from hell and make it to heaven? Is that really the only possible motivator to make the right choice? Or is it possible to have certain moral compasses and to understand that an hedonistic worldview and seeking our constant pleasure to escape our death anxiety and to give our life purpose, is that really the best way? Just practically speaking, religion and God aside, is that practically the best way to get where we're trying to go, which is a life of fulfillment? Because that's what we all want. At the end of the day, we want to be loved, we want to matter, we want to feel like this life mattered, like there was a point to it. But if the only place we're looking for is pleasure, or in our mind, since that's what the song concludes again, live life, mind, power, if that's the only place we're looking for answers to our existential fears, is that really the best conclusion? So in neither song are there answers. In neither song is there a happy ending, if you will. But with Dax, I felt like there was more of an open stance, like, there was still hope possible. Here with Hopsin, I felt more like it was like, you do you, I'll do me. I'm human. I'm going to stay in my lane. It felt more conclusive. It felt more like this is what I'm concluding, what I'm going to decide. Either way, I'm going deep, y'all, into psychology. There's no easy answer. I don't have the answers, of course, to these heavy questions because that too is a matter of faith. And but I will say this: amazing rappers, powerful songs. I definitely see a red thread. So thank you, Terrace, for suggesting me comparing those two. What did y'all think? Your turn. If you haven't yet, cast your vote in the comments below. Who did it better? What did you like better? Which one did you prefer, Hopsins or Dax? And why? If you can, let me know why. And what else should I check out from those artists? As always, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for being on this deep dive ride with me today. And I'll see you on the next one. Ayo!